Good morning. Good morning. I want to welcome you all again to our Wednesday morning class here at HeartLight Spiritual Center. We want to welcome you that are joining us online this morning, also wherever you are, to join us in spirit and in mind and intention. Also to you that will download later, we want to also welcome you to today's class. We are in the midst of doing a 7 week when we put the introduction of HeartLight teachings. And please, all phones are off. Okay. So last week was our actually first lesson, which was based on heart-focused breathing technique. So I think that's where we should start this morning. We've already done it in the exercise class, which was powerful. And let me ask you before we did, how many of you has used it this week at all, the heart-focused breathing? Excellent. I'm very glad you've done that. So it's very important. So let's do the heart-focused breathing. The heart-focused breathing is an effective technique to take the charge out of stress reaction. Now, that's a really good statement. I'm going to say that again. Heart-focused breathing is an effective technique to take the charge out of stress reaction and start the process of shifting into a more resilient state. So it means that when you're charged with an emotion, of fear or anger or some of those things, that if you stop and do the heart-focused breathing, you will diminish the charge of those things, and they won't be as strong and as dominant with you as you are shifting toward a different place than to be emotionally knocked out consciously. And that's what happens when things like fear, guilt, anger, all those kind of things that we all can experience in this third dimension world that we live in, happens, that it takes energy. It takes energy to fear. It takes energy to have guilt. It takes energy to have doubt and anger, and it depletes your energy system completely. So what we're trying to do is take back that energy so that we keep it more in the reserve of when we really choose to use it, not when it chooses to use us. So when we are in those deep emotional experiences, we are knocked out consciously from a proactive system to a reactive system. And how you know that is because that's when you say things and do things that you would not have done if you'd have been in your right mind. If you'd have been conscious of the moment and played the observer and seen it for what it was, you'd have most likely made a different choice. That's one of the lines in the Course in Miracles that I like, says, choose again. Choose again. You don't have to choose anger or hatred or prejudice. You can choose love, peace, unity. It's a choice. Life is a choice. One of our sayings that we have used for, I don't know how long it's been, Tim, probably the 30 years, 20 years at least, or more. Well, I think for that is your life is a gift, but your journey is a choice. Life is a gift, but your journey is a choice. Choose again. I even see that in the kind of harsh interpretation of the Bible where Jesus says, turn the other cheek. See, you can take that literally as be submissive and let people do what they want to you, but that's not what it's saying. It says if you're perceiving something from one angle, then you can turn to a different angle and have a shift in perception. So that's what heart-focused breathing. It is for you to use anytime, anywhere. Somebody really aggravates you at the grocery store or the bank or traffic and all of the things that are out there that we can react to. We can be aware and do this very simple, short technique of heart focused and diminish that so that we're not knocked out consciously and we become proactive with choice. Choose again. So again, let me read this. Heart-focused breathing is an effective technique to take the charge out of stress reaction. Doesn't mean you're not going to feel angry, but you're not going to be as angry. Doesn't mean you're not going to feel all of these human emotions, but they're not going to be as strong and controlling because you're going to take the charge out of it through this technique. So join with me. First of all, be aware of the chair in which you sit. As I told them this morning in the exercise class, not a one of you came here and looked at that chair and said, "Are you going to hold me up?" I'm afraid if I sit in you, you're going to not hold me up. You just did it because you had faith. You had innate faith that did not question or ask why. So start there with the awareness of the space that your body occupies. And now focus your attention to the area of your heart consciously. Again, if you want to touch that part of the heart to help your consciousness to be directed there, that's fine too. And imagine your breath is flowing in and out of your heart. So that means the chest is rising and falling. Rising and falling. We're going to inhale 5 seconds, or 5 count, and also exhale 5 count. Allow your breath to be a little slower and a little deeper. Inhale at the count of 5. Exhale at the count of 5. Inhale at the count of 5. Exhale at the count of 5. Once again, inhale at the count of 5. And exhale. This suggests that we also learn to practice this technique with our eyes open. Because if you're in a situation at the grocery store or a bank, you might not be one of closing your eyes. But you can actually do this with your eyes open. So let's do it once with our eyes open and do the 5 to 5 count. Again. What's your experience with that? Can anybody just share something with me right now that you experienced in doing it with your eyes open?
Calms the mind.
You what?
Calms the mind.
Calms the mind? Sure. Were you less distracted from the outside, even though you were looking outside? You were kind of in the world, but not of the world exactly. I mean, you're aware that things are out there, that you're looking at bodies and chairs and a room and whatever, but you weren't as connected to that because the breathing was bringing you more into a balance of the inner and the outer becoming.
We're breathing in
one
our
together.
power.
That is our power. Our heart is our power. It is heart power. There's nothing like heart power. It's an amazing. Remember we learned that our heart pumps how many times a day? 100,000 times a day. a day. Night and day, no matter where you are, the pump is faithful. The heart is trying to be faithful. Now, sometimes we're the enemy of the heart. Stress is an enemy of the heart. Wrong diet can be the heart enemy. There's a lot of things we do that diminishes the heart. So we have to realize we have to take responsibility that many times we're our worst enemy because of choices. Again, it comes back to choice, the power of the choice that is in there. You know, you need to consider feeding the heart with omega oils and doing something that is good every day to supplement for the heart. I'm afraid the earth is not in the shape to do that just for you like it would like to, but needs a little help with supplementations. Maybe not as much red meat. Be kind to your heart. I've been there. If you've had quadruple bypass, I just feel an emotion talking about that. An emotion of talking about having your heart taken out of your body. You know, they do that when they do the surgery. They take it out of the body and then put it back in after they've put in the new veins and all that kind of thing. It's an emotional experience to mess with the heart in any way. So let's start week 2. Week 2 is living from intelligence of your heart. Week 2 is energy management with resilience and coherence. I had a good quote there I found that I think was really good. Was there anyway. Life does not get easier or more forgiving. We get stronger and more resilient. Life does not get easier or more forgiving. We get stronger and more resilient. Time magazine in September 2011 was the 10th year anniversary of 9/11, in which a special edition came out called Beyond the Portraits of Resilience, Beyond 9/11, the Portraits of Resilience. And how that we were able to move beyond the hardships and live each day in a resilient state of mind. If you stop and think, there's been situations in all of our lives that we weren't even sure at the moment, how do we handle this? How do we make it through it? But here we are. That's why you have an investment in resilience, because you made it through things that you almost saw limited, that there was no answer. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can go through this, but you did, because of the ability to be resilient. Let's get a definition of resilience. It is the capacity to prepare for, recover from, and adapt in the face of stress, challenge, or adversity. Take that in. What is resilience? First of all, it's a capacity. It's not a thing. It is a potential, a capacity that is innately in you already. That's important. A capacity for you to prepare. This is the thing, people. We don't know how to integrate the ability to prepare for the events of our life. They catch us off guard. And that's why I love this quote again that says that things may not change out there. They could even get worse for a while, and it seems like they are. But where our power is and our strength is, we get stronger and more resilient. We recover faster. We don't have to continually hold something for days or weeks or months or years. How much are we still holding on to of an event, an emotional charged event that happened 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago? that's not happening now, but lives as an imprint memory in the very muscles. It's called muscle memory, cellular memory. And today we're not only affected by it, we react to other situations that are close to that memory that happened to us. If somebody does or says something to us that is a memory of that happened 20, 40 years ago, I'm going to react to the emotion that I had 20, 40 years ago in the present, which is going to knock me out from being conscious. Now today, that's all summed up in the idea of mindfulness, the teaching of mindfulness that's so popular in the world today, being mindful. Resilience is a capacity, can be thought of as an amount of energy you can share in your inner battery. In your inner battery, your power. The greater your resilience, the more energy you'll have available when you need it. We have incidents in our life all the time, if not every day, or several times a day, in which we need to create a response. And we know from the teachings that we've all been under for decades, some of us, that the response should be out of love and not fear, should be out of peace rather than warrings, or out of joy rather than sadness. We know mentally, we have that construct of this is what we should be doing. And even though we mentally know that, sometimes we don't give enough energy to it that it shows up in us. And that's why I keep telling you, just to intellectually know something is not enough. And that's what the brain does. It says, just give me all the good knowledge you want, but just keep it with me. Keep me the head of your life. And mostly keep me the head of your heart. Men over women. Wife, be still. If you want to know something, go ask your husband, the head. And the head says, but to her, wisdom, we don't believe that. We don't believe that kind of wisdom. It's not on our belief system. So this is the importance of making them a co-creative couple who are working together. And that's what heart math is basically going to allow us to do. So we're here in this class to learn a little more about how to have greater resilience and keep more energy available to us. When we need a healing, when we need some financial assistance, when we need something to happen, make sure you have the energy to back it up, or it will go through as insufficient fund. See, mentally in New Thought, we can write out big checks. Oh gosh, we got that down. We can write huge checks. We can do affirmations on checks, and we can say, I am whole, and I am this, and I am that, and then not live the whole life. Because the energy didn't back up the affirmation. The energy did not back up the divine principle or the divine law or whatever you want to call it. Energy is behind everything. It is the fuel. It is the fuel. And if your gas tank is pretty much on empty, you may go a little ways down the road, but you're stopped in your tracks from getting where you want to get. So make sure your tank always says full and you have access to it. Having more energy means that you have greater capacity to self-regulate and be in charge of how you respond in situations. Your process is not in changing your situations only, but you can change your response to situations. Again, that's called self-empowerment. Situations do not have the power over you. Your awareness and how that you perceive the situation is where your power is. So if something comes up, which it probably will soon, how do you want to meet it? First of all, I'm going to do my heart breathing and get myself focused where I need to be in my heart. That breathing is going to connect me to those 40% neurons that's in my head, that's in my heart, so that I can connect to the little brain in my heart. That's what they call it. Science calls it the little brain in the heart, as well as they have found the little heart in the brain. Think about that, because in New Thought, we refer to Mother, Father, God. We talk about the male and female in all of us, that the woman is not all the female and the man is all the men is all the male. We know that every one of us has both male and female polarities within us, right? So would it make sense that there's a little bit of the heart in the brain and a little bit of the brain in the heart? Because like resonates to like. So it's the heart, it's the brain in the heart that can resonate with the heart in the brain. And they're connected. This says getting enough sleep and plugging energy leaks so you can't waste energy is a key to building and maintaining your resilience. Resilience. What is resilience? Don't read it. Tell me. See, why I'm doing that is because when you're in the bank or whatever is going to happen the next time, you're not going to have your paper most likely with you to read it. So it's not going to be effective until it gets into your consciousness. Tell me what you think resilience means.
Withstand anything. Withstand anything.
Withstanding, that's good. To balance back.
Ability to react.
The ability to what?
To react.
No.
Respond.
Not react.
Respond over react.
We want to proact, not react.
Respond over react.
Well, you react with breathing.
Okay. Here's the words. To prepare for, recover from, and adapt. That's the things you need to do. I'm preparing myself to recover quickly from the anger, so the anger does not stay too long until it depletes my energy. Because the longer I'm angry, the more energy I'm using to keep that anger going, and I'm depleting my energy supply. So resilience is my ability and capacity to recover quickly. Now this is where your spiritual intelligence or the mind or God or whatever you can call it, divine law, comes into play, because at that point, if you catch yourself at that point where you are preparing and not reacting yet, but preparing means observing. If you can get to that point to prepare for the situation before the situation knocks you out, you can prepare by using your spiritual intelligence to things do not happen to me, but for me. There's a good one. Wait a minute, whatever's happening is happening for me to grow and to learn and mature. It's not that it's happening to me that I'm a victim. If you can grasp that idea, you will experience resilience quickly. And you will recover from it, and you'll see it for what it is. So the next thing is energy management, which we're still talking about already. There are times when you feel you don't have much energy. I'm drained. I'm running on fumes. I'm wiped out. We've all been there. Why? Sometimes I even ask myself, what? Maybe I rested long enough. Maybe I haven't really done anything to exert myself physically or whatever. Why did I run out of energy around 3 or 4 o'clock? Where did that energy go? Where did it go? It went to situations I held on too long. Huh? I was angry too long. I was upset too long. I was grieving too long. And I used up my energy that I needed. How do you think this affects you and those around you? When your energy is low, you can be difficult to think clearly. It's the worst time. Everybody thinks the worst time to make a decision is when Mercury's in retrograde. Oh, really? I wish it was that easy that I just had to go a certain section of time that it's bad to make decisions and do transitions and all that kind of thing. Yes, astrologically that is probably true, but it's true all the time in the sense of constantly making decisions, consciously and unconsciously. And again, nothing can become conscious or manifested that doesn't have the energy to back it up. I use it some energetics every time. I've had 3 new clients this week. People I don't know, by the way. A husband and wife and a daughter from South America. And the first thing that I have to get over to them is the first thing we have to have is energy beyond survival. And I always use this simple analogy. You can sit and write me a $10,000 check and say, I really appreciate the work you're doing. I want to support it. And Faith says I can write out a check and it'll be met. Well, maybe. But I don't think it's some miraculous thing that money's just going to show up. But I think that if you don't have the money to cover that check, it's going to be stamped insufficient fund that's not going to go through. This is why people don't heal and people don't manifest. But you win the lottery, you get an inheritance, whatever. Next thing you know, you've got $1 million in your account and you want to write me a $10,000 check, it's going through. Because you had the money to back it up and make it good. You've got to have energy beyond your autonomic system. What do I mean? You're sitting here in these chairs or you're listening to me online. Wherever you are, your heart is beating that 100,000 times. Your blood is circulating through 60 miles of veins and arteries, and your breakfast is digesting, and all of the things in spite of you is happening to keep you alive sitting in that chair. And all those things have energy to back it up. Now, when you lose energy, let's say in the digestive system, guess what? You're going to have digestive issues because the check's not going through. So anywhere you're having an issue in automatic things in your life is because the energy has been depleted getting there. And of course, they're going to diagnose you as something is wrong with your kidney, something's wrong with your heart, something's wrong with you, and they're going to go for the organ. But they don't realize that it's the energy, life force of the organ that has been depleted and causing this disease. So I think we can live healthier lives if we learn how to tap into energy beyond our survival. Perform tasks well. In other words, are you, the tasks you have to do, are you present? Are you doing them better? Or are you forgetting things? Or are you not able to really follow through completely in a clarity? This is things that happen to us when we don't have the energy to do it. We don't bounce back. If you do not monitor and manage your energy, you can become depleted, making it more difficult to deal with a situation. You can't perform or respond optimally. In other words, you can't be at your best. Stress, resilience, and performance. Research on how stress affects performance over time. I don't know if we didn't put that in, did we, Tim? But
The graphic that you had that you didn't like.
yeah, I didn't think it said a whole lot. Yeah.
I've got it.
So let's talk about energy management skills. When you learn and apply energy management skills, you can increase your capacity to build your energy reserves. You can have more energy to draw from when you need it. I feel like this is just repeating what I already teach in Some Energetics, but a lot of you are not Some Energetics trained, so you're getting.
We have one spot left for the next workshop.
You have more energy to draw from when you need it. Mindfulness means paying attention in a particular way, one, on purpose with attention. Do things purposely. Be in the present moment. Attitude of acceptance toward our thought and experience. I think that is important because I think that's the bigger mind. My smaller mind is very pulled into the smaller picture of what's happening. But my bigger mind gives me a bigger picture of what is happening. And either, it challenges such things that are taught, like all things work together for good to them that love God. That's a kind of a scripture that's become a saying. It's not just a Bible thing. It's in the Bible, but it's something that you hear throughout metaphysical New Thought, that we believe that all things work together. Do we? All of a sudden, when something happens we don't like, we don't see it as working together for our good. And the ego mind comes up with, what did I do or what did I not do? So being purpose is important. If you're mindless and not conscious, you become rushed. Isn't that the truth? You go on automatic. Reaction is automatic because that means old ways that you've learned to do things become patterns that you follow. You become distracted. That's one thing we're working on over in this exercise class. And that is to make sure we do not do Newtonian exercising, but quantum exercising. And the difference is that we're not a machine body that's reacting, but that we are following the energy of our body. And of course, we do that by playing a certain music that slows us down when we get in our head. Because I notice everybody that leaves the energy or the music of it starts being very mechanical with it. So we come back to purpose. A lot going on in that class over there. It's not just exercise. It is a spiritual class, I'm telling you. Some great things. Reactive, we talked about that. Again, let's go through that again. Reactive is reacting from patterns of past experiences. Proactive is present choice of how I choose to act or towards something. I choose not to act to this anger. I choose to not let this anger knock me out consciously. I choose to see it for what it is, take the charge out of it emotionally, and return to the place of my heart where the emotion is neutralized and diminished to be lesser. And that is resilience. When we are mindless, we're unaware. That's one thing that I think being mindful helps, is sometimes you can sense something before it happens. Oftentimes we wait till it happens, and that's where we get knocked out. But if we would listen to our intuitive, see, energy goes before matter. So if you can get the energy of a circumstance before the circumstance gets to you, you can start changing the circumstance before it even happens by toning down the energy of it. So that when it comes in, anger is not as angry. So it's an anger that doesn't totally knock you out, but it's an anger you're aware of, that you have, and you stay conscious of it. Proverbs 4 and 23. Watch over your heart with all diligence, for from it flows the springs of life. I love Proverbs. Proverbs are not to be taken, not literal, they're poem, they're poetic statements. Watch over your heart with diligence, for from it flows the springs of life. Building greater resilience, you will be better prepared. I like this word prepare, keeps coming up. And every time I read it, I think of it as being a child and going down country roads in Oklahoma and Arkansas and all those places where a lot of fundamental Christianity was, and they would be signs on the highway that said, prepare to meet the Lord thy God.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm not throwing that out. I know what they meant, but I know what I mean from a higher place is take time, be observant, and prepare for what's coming. Know who you are in this moment. Know what your spiritual rights are and activate the divine law of mind and spirit before the situation comes. If you do that, you'll stay upright and not be knocked out. Have greater flexibility. Life does not have to be a certain way you think it should be. Life is what it is. And we're fooling ourselves with, we think we can live beyond, at this time, beyond the circumstances of our third dimensional life experience. Things are going to happen. You're going to lose people you love. You're going to face grieving, adapting to life without them. That includes people, pets, and other things that just is so hard for us as human beings because somehow we thought this was going to be forever this way. That's one of the great illusions of the ego, is it's always going to be this way. I'm always going to be young and look like this. You're always going to be in my life. And we don't learn to prepare. And I'm going to say this, but I think one of the disservices that we do in the West is not prepare for the experience of transition out of the physical body. I think that's why there's such a fear of so-called death, because we don't understand it. And the Eastern people will tell you that. If you've never read the book of the living and the dead, the Tibetan book of the living and the dead, you should do it. And they will teach you how that we make this transition per chakra. And how we don't recognize it when we have our loved ones pass on to the next level. We don't know how to work with them. In fact, out of ignorance, we work against them, and we don't know how to deal with what they're going through because we don't understand what they're going through, and we get absorbed into how we feel, not what they're doing. And I think that's something I know we don't like to talk about, but I think that's... Now, I have a bigger picture and belief. I've been very clear about it, that I believe that we're not stuck into this dimension of third dimension mortality, but I do think that there's other dimensions that as we stabilize and normalize them, that we will change this whole idea of life and death. That I do. But in this dimension, you don't want to get stuck in it forever. And Jackie, I'm addressing you because that's where, when I got into the immortalist movement years ago, we had a truth. We had a truth that death is the last enemy to be put under our foot. And Jesus said, if you eat of this bread, you shall not die. We took that on a literal level and tried to stuff it into a third dimension that couldn't hold it. And the real truth was, if I would attain to immortality in this body, in third dimension, I would made probably my heaven into a hell. That meant if I stayed in this body, I could get cancer forever or be diabetic forever. That means I would be subject to all of the diseases and illness in third dimension forever because I couldn't die. And by the grace of Almighty God, God says, no, death is your way to show you that you've got to become a different vibration and frequency into a higher dimension of life. You may understand that, you may not, but I'm seeding you to show you. That's why in the story of Adam and Eve in the garden, that it said once they fell, their vibration, the fall, to become mortal physical bodies, he ran them out of the garden so that they would not be stuck in that fallen position for all eternity. So in some ways, death is a spiritual thing of releasing us from a dimension that cannot offer us any more than a better living, but not life. Wow, I mean to get into this. That's why the teacher said to the living, he said to the living, I come to bring you life and more abundantly. You can't kill life. Life cannot die. Only those who live die. And then they live again and they die. And you keep living and dying until you said, I've had it. With this living and dying and reincarnation thing. I'm not going to get stuck there in this third dimension of reincarnation. Reincarnation is important in the third dimension, but it does not exist when you get into higher fifth, sixth, and beyond dimension. You don't need it. You'll be able to build a body anytime you need by thought. Oh my. How did I get into that? Be prepared is the point. Building greater resilience, you will be prepared. Have greater flexibility. Quit being so stiff about life that it's got to be my way or no way. Take life for what it is and see it from a higher state of consciousness that will not trap you. Keep a cool head in challenging situations. Every emotion you experience, whether or not you're aware of it, has an effect on your body and on your resilience. Every emotion immediately causes changes in your body. This shows depletion to renewal, emotional landscape. So the depleting emotion of anger raises your cortisol and you experience burnout. If you hold frustration too long, it will make you withdraw from the flow of life. And that means you will find yourself in depression, anxiety, and scares. If you hold too much, and passion's a good thing, but you don't want to get stuck in passion. You want to also learn compassion. These things can raise your DHEA, if you've heard of that. It's a supplement everybody should be on. You should be on 50 milligrams of DHEA. And we can get into that some other time, but it's important. But this is what will raise your natural DHEA, and it will bring you into a calm ease. And you'll find, wow, when that happened to me a year ago, man, did I react to that? But this time, I just didn't quite react that way. I felt more calm. It didn't take all my peace. So, Resilience can help people quickly reduce stress. May be used for everyday stress, anger, anxiety, and emotional overload. It's especially helpful in times of acute crisis. It works because the exercise helps you change stress-producing attitudes and resets, I like that, resets your stress set point. You are actually changing the heart rhythm pattern and calming your autonomic nervous system. By focusing on your heart, you're taking energy away from the undesirable emotion. In other words, you're not financing the emotion. Isn't that great? Just think about it. I have financed for 40 years that man, that woman, or whoever left me and divorced me and left me stranded and to raise the kids by myself and all of that happened to you 4 or 5 generations ago, or not generations, but decades ago, and you're still financing it. Every time you think of a relationship or the relationship you're in, you're financing that old thing over and over. And wonder if you just said, you know what? I'm not financing this anymore. Some of you finance things like cable bills for your TV and every month you pay for something. But the thing is, you have the power to call them and say, what? No more. Unplug me from the system. I will not finance you any longer. And you cut the cord. So let's talk about our next technique. Quick coherence technique. The goal is to understand the concept of coherence and how it relates to resilience and performance. The key of this technique, coherence is an optimal state of functioning. Coherence is the key to building our resistance capacity. The more coherence, now coherence, what do I mean by coherence? Co with mind and heart. So you've got to connect those two to work together. Knowledge with wisdom. Okay? Thought with feeling. Brain can't feel. It thinks it feels. But it thinks a lot of things that it's not. But the heart is the thought feeling. And when thought and feeling come together and becomes coherence, that's what we're longing for. So let's do this coherent exercise. Ready? Again, these are very simple, short. These are not our meditations, or that's a whole different ball game. And not everybody's going to do it. You have to be a committed, dedicated student of meditation to really do what meditation is, and that is to get to the silence. When you're in the silence, you're beholding the face of God. Because there is no face in the silence. The old man is gone. The anthropomorphic white old man in the sky is gone, and it's emerged into an infinite field of all possibility. It is the silence before the sound. It is the spirit and energy before the matter. We need to go there more and visit until we love it so much, we move our citizenship there and live there and move and have our being in it. For in God we move, live, and have our being. So focus your attention in the area of your heart. And as well, focus your intention in the area of your heart. What is the intention of doing this coherence technique, breathing technique? Maybe it could be, so I live a more calmer life because I choose to not be knocked out consciously of the moment and who I am and the power that I hold. What is your intention? And as you focus your attention to the area of the heart, allow your breath passing in and out through your heart or center of your chest as you slowly inhale and exhale. Breathe in an attitude of calm and balance. If you have a hard time getting there, think of some time in which you remember feeling very calm and more balanced. And when you have that, breathe into it from the heart. To find that place in consciousness, in the heart of the consciousness, is to find the I am point. Because the I am never changes. It always is what it is. It's what the Bible means when it says, I am God and I change not. It is your place of consistency, continuous flow. Breathe in an attitude of calm and balance. You can also breathe in a feeling of gratitude or compassion to give an experience of feeling. Gratitude is more than a thought. Compassion is more than a thought. I want you to feel something that you are grateful for right now. Someone, someplace, something. And feel that and breathe into it. For it said, God breathed the breath of life into Adam. He became a living soul. Gratitude cannot be a mental construct. It must become a living entity. Breathe into it life. And now breathe 3 times using the count of 5 in the inhale and the count of 5 in the exhale. 3 times, and I'll leave you on that to do yourself. When you've done the third one, return back to your own rhythm of the breath. And Let's end this breathing exercise back in the heart, feeling gratitude for our heart. That holds the feminine of the soul, who has the wisdom to build for us, for wisdom builds the house. So let's call in the presence of the goddess, Sophia. Sophia is the name of wisdom in the Greek. I've seen her. I had an experience with Sophia. I'll talk about sometime. It's the most beautiful entity I've ever seen. It looked human, but it wasn't human. I can't explain it, but it was absolutely an experience. So we call upon the goddess Sophia that lives and dwells within our heart with great wisdom. Wisdom that the brain has rejected for ages, but now must become imbalanced, and allow her to flourish and be that which she is. The living heart of wisdom that holds that part of the soul into the higher states. We ask that the presence of Sophia be felt in this place, and to all of us who are joined with us wherever they are, will feel the beautiful presence of the golden light of wisdom as it just immerses us into a field of light. It is so important to me that we learn to feel the presence of what we talk about. That we not just leave here with more mental ideas and knowledge. Because the feeling imprints in the emotions of the body, which drives cellular development. The chakras take it and interprets it to a level our bodies can handle it. And as each chakra is connected to different organs of the body, the white light of wisdom is felt in the cells that make up those organs. Reactivating and restoring the divine vibration and frequency of pure creation. Your liver, the spleen, your stomach, your colon, kidneys, your bladder. All the muscles, nerves, fluids respond to return to perfect balance. in your head, your eyes, your ears, even your teeth and gums, all the way to the skin of your body, receiving the perfect blueprint of creation. All you have to do is receive it, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the things of the kingdom. Because God cannot deny itself. For I hear the Spirit say, and this is a scripture, but it is being saying, that I shall restore and reconcile all things that have been taken from you due to the stresses of life. I restore back the energy, for I am the inexhaustible source of all energy, and there is no depletion in the inexhaustible source that I am in you. I hear the teacher Jesus saying, "Come and drink of this water, and you shall never thirst again. Eat of this bread which comes down from heaven, and you shall never be hungry again." Be restored, for all things shall be reconciled that has been prophesied by the mouth of the prophets, and nothing shall be withheld from you. For behold, you are my people. You are my city set upon a hill and can no longer be hid. For I shall radiate from the center of this place, from your heart, the light in the north, south, east, and west. For upon this property I have placed the highest of beings, the pure archangels of this land. It is not by accident that you call this HeartLight. This will be the place of the collective Christ heart, emanating a beam of light to all of those who are ready to receive. Spirit would have me to say to you, you ask me for so much, but hear my call and cry to receive from you. For I desire to be in relationship with you. Stop seeing me as some separate, all-powerful God, separate from yourself. But know that I live and have lived so long within the center of your being. But I shall soon burst forth into a new light and beam that shall go through and cut through illusion as light can cut through steel when it is coherent. I ask for your deepest commitments. Return to your first love in me. be my collective habitation, that I dwell in tabernacles not made with human hands. I've heard your needs, I've heard your cries, I've heard your prayers, but trust in the intelligence that I am, who is working a larger purpose individually for you as well as collectively, preparing you for the day of the Lord, the day of the coming, the day of the unveiling, the day that I rent this veil on people's minds from top to bottom and release them from the traditions of men that have made myself of no effect in them. Be prepared when they come. Be prepared for them. How I so desire people I can speak directly to. You speak of me. You speak for me. But let me speak to you and through you to a very hurting world, a confusing world, a world that is being pushed from their comfort zones. All of the different patterns that you've built that are no longer serving. I'll lead you through the chaos as the story is that I led the children of Israel through the wilderness. You will not hunger, I will cause manna to fall upon you. You will not thirst, for I'll give you water that no man has. My. Slowly, take your time, and when you're ready, come back, but come back different. Come back with this feeling. Come back with this knowing. Come back changed. Come back prepared for whatever lies ahead of you when you leave here today. Because you're going to face it differently. You're going to proact differently. You're going to respond differently. You're going to see that you have more resilience. And so it is. I gotta shake myself out of it. Thank you so much. Wow. This presence is just showing up so strong. It just is so strong. I want to thank you for your support for the class. It has meant so much to have the support for both HeartLight and for also what we do as Light Within ministry is supporting that. It's not personally going to me. Not anything you're giving in these classes. They're going to a cause. They're going to a purpose. They're going to continue what we do to reach our outreach. And that outreach is showing up now, and all of these people from different states that are connecting to us and supporting us from all over. So things just are not within the four walls of this building, but it goes beyond all of that. Well, didn't mean to keep you. Well, I'm not going to apologize for that. So be it. So be it. I know we have another meeting here coming up, and for you that are in that meeting, Janice has beautifully offered us a nice lunch over there. So we'll do that real quickly, and then we'll come back for our event meeting after that. Thank you so much again. I appreciate you coming and being so open. This couldn't happen without you and your openness to allow it to come forth. Okay? Have a great day. Beautiful week, beautiful life. So it is.